XDC network is moving towards the future. They have posted this interesting video over here. XDC network, generation infinity, curve finance plus XDC network equals the future of RWAs and stablecoin liquidity. You can check this whole thing out yourselves, 40 minutes long, an interesting one indeed. But I've brought a section for you guys from 12 to 20, interesting take on what's happening and how XDC and other of these compliant assets are building for the future. Pardon me. Yeah, let's begin.
Liquidity, and I think people don't necessarily understand the process, I think, of like what is all involved in trying to actually make that happen and what liquidity actually is, right? So Curve brings the opportunity to bring on liquidity easier, right? It creates the opportunity to bring on liquidity. So, and not only that, but with more liquidity coming on XDC through Curve, it introduces the XDC network to other users of Curve that are maybe liquidity providers or leveraging liquidity within other ecosystems, right? So it introduces the XDC network to those users, and vice versa, the other way around. So it's important to have methods of bringing on liquidity with something that's also trusted, because it's one thing to bring on liquidity, but being a liquidity provider is something that you trust, using for liquidity. And obviously Curve has a reputation of doing it over an extended long period of time, obviously, right? So I think that's really important. So it's the opportunity to bring on liquidity, introducing it to other communities and ecosystems, and then also just having a place to onboard liquidity in a trusted, marketplace, basically.
Let me just a real quick follow-up for you, Lance, because I think I've done so many interviews within the XDC ecosystem, and one thing, consistently resonates, and obviously there's many use cases we could kind of go down the rabbit hole with here, but I'll talk about like trade finance, tokenization of real-world assets, trade finance, things like that. And I think one of the things that has been said multiple times is like, look, anybody can participate in these anybody can participate in trade finance. At least that's the future we're moving towards, as long as it's done compliantly and everything else. So when I see like permissionless pool creation and things, it seems like it's going to be with deeper liquidity, it will be much easier for enterprise institutions, whoever it may be, to participate in trade finance initiatives or whatever initiatives they may be. Is that kind of the correct assumption here?
I mean, definitely. Even if it's not necessarily directly involved in liquidity directly to the trade finance, solution or product or whatever that is, having native USDC on the XDC network, and then having it available on a marketplace like Curve or somebody liquidity pools, it indirectly, or really more directly, I would say, brings liquidity onto the ecosystem. Whether that be through USDC or maybe some other route, and you're not going to really attract more users, even in trade finance or RWA or whatever that is, if your ecosystem isn't liquid. You know what I mean? So you're not going to attract more users if it's not liquid. So obviously bringing on more liquidity, even, through Curve or the USDC, stablecoin or whatever that is, brings more liquidity to the ecosystem, which will make it easier and more attractive to have more trade finance, solutions and products on the XDC network.
So I have a follow-up for Martin from the stablecoin standpoint. Is I've seen how, like, I always like kind of the documentation that comes out from some of these entities about like estimates of, I'm not going to get into crypto market estimates, but I am going to kind of maybe throw around some of the stuff that I've seen with stablecoins. And I know, so for example, there's a Treasury Borrowing and Advisory Committee basically put out a document about a month and a half ago estimating, if all things go well, that the stablecoin market cap could be somewhere around like $2.6, $2.8 trillion by 2028, 2030 or so. I guess, number one, that's pretty crazy to even like think about, because that's like 10x where stablecoins are at right now, but I don't think we're far off. I guess the real question I have here is, being that Curve is kind of the backbone of stablecoin liquidity across these markets, what role do you see Curve kind of evolving into for tokenized real world assets? How do stablecoins, play a role in that over time? Because I feel like we're very early in that game still.
Yeah, I think the question is where these stablecoins live at the end. Of course, we see a lot. Yeah, we see TVL on-chain growing, but stablecoin can also be used in venues where we don't see it on public chains, basically. And our task is basically to bring it onto public chains, because then everyone can basically profit from this. Otherwise, it's just siloed again. And I guess one of the things we are here for is bring this on-chain. And of course, having Curve on the chain helps with this. And also to highlight, it's exactly the same code as on mainnet. So, and this is also, it's about trust, because if you provide liquidity, it's about trust, where you bring your liquidity on, and the perception of the market of the liquidity is always a cost, basically, because it's an opportunity cost. Of course, you can park your liquidity in a pool, or you can have it in a treasure bill, and then you make some revenue out of this. So at the end, we have to beat like other places where you can park your liquidity, basically, and that's one of the goals. And what we see interestingly in this cycle is, because it's more and more stablecoins are coming on chain, we don't see these huge spikes anymore, because I consider us in a moment in a bull, or we are in a bull, and the rate is not so high as in last cycles. And this is a good thing, because in a way you have to compete with the landing rate on landing platforms, because as a stablecoin owner, you say, I can provide liquidity in a pool, I can lend it out for, and the rates at the end have to converge on all this market, because it's very, very liquid at the end. You look for opportunity where to park your liquidity, and then you park it there where you get the most revenue, basically. And seeing the rate coming down, it's a good sign for everything, because we did see some growth pain, because if you're a fresh protocol and you come out in a bad moment and you need to pay 15% for your stablecoin liquidity, that's a lot of money, basically. And I think it helps us to grow. Well, everyone helps to grow. So it's some kind of normalization, basically, coming this amount of stablecoins on chain, and it helps like everyone. Even, okay, you as insider, you can't farm stablecoins for 15-20% up here anymore. That looks like it's over, but at the end, I think everyone will profit in the future.
I have something I'd like to kind of a question to ask on that, because I want to talk a little bit about the traditional finance versus kind of what Curve does in the crypto industry and ecosystem, as a whole, because you're talking about rates being more competitive, right, and even returns and yield being more competitive for people, and more competition there. Competition obviously creates new opportunities, right? It's good for an industry. And when I try to explain a lot of these things to family members that just have their money sitting in a savings account getting 0.25% interest, and then you sort of introduce them to the way things are done in crypto, because things are getting a little easier, a little better. I guess the question that I want to ask is, do you think that we're far away from, because I feel like once people get used to the way we kind of do things and see the competition and the rates and the yield that you can get, nobody's going to want to just park money in an old traditional savings account anymore when you can make your money work for you. And I guess I just wanted to ask, like, how far away do you think that we are from the majority of people, I guess, realizing that, and then the traditional methods finally realizing, like, okay, we have to evolve and make things better and more competitive, or we're going to get left in the dust.
Folks, XDC network and the broader world of utility is going towards a new future. It is moving towards the future, that is for sure. Look at this. XDC network has been stacking real world traction right where it focuses most. These are some of the sectors that has trillions of dollars written all over it, folks. Talking about finance, talking about tokenization, and as well as enterprise payments. These are some of the sectors and areas that XDC network wants to move. Look at this. XDC ETP lists in Europe. 21 shares rolled out the XDC network ETP on Euronext, Euronext Paris and Amsterdam. Binance listing. Binance US opened deposits and launched XDC USDT trading at the end of July. Verifiable RWA tokenization. So keyword over here is verifiable. A lot of different projects claim that they are working on real world asset tokenization, but most of them cannot be verified. So here we're seeing that XDC has partnered with Orochi Network to launch ZK data rails, enabling on-chain trade finance, bonds, and stablecoins with verifiable real-world asset data. So from this, we can assume that people know what is happening, and it is transparent from all we know. XDC network at Korea Blockchain Week 2025. This is great for marketing purposes, forging connections. Look at this. We've got the attendee Yu Hui Sung, Business Development SBI XDC Network APAC. We've got Thibault Delru, Investment Manager XDC Ventures. And then we've got Tadashi Yoshida, SBI XDC Network APAC Company Limited, head of Japan XDC Network. And folks, one of the one of the biggest moves that XDC Network took was consolidating its presence in Japan. Japan, one of the best regions in the world when it comes to building credibility. So this is really good. Look at this. We're talking about global carbon standards, ISO 20022 compliance, and blockchains positioned for real world adoption at scale. And what is XDC hybrid blockchain designed for trade finance and supply chain? I think this is one of the outdated definitions of what XDC stands for. With all due respect, a really good, decent graphic over here, but now it has involved payments, a lot of different sectors, arenas into its overall ecosystem. So this is really good. XDC is still a sleeping giant, according to Mason versus Lewis, folks. Some technicals, and look at this. The cream colors look so good. Most of the time we see black or white. So this is really good for a change. So just a train of thought, by the way. Look at this. It is 8 cents at the moment, at the time of the recording at least, or the time this post was posted, Leonaf. Another ISO 20022 certificated project. XDC price is still looking bullish in midterm unless XDC doesn't lose 7 cents. Look at this, seems good. Some crucial support levels as well. The technicals are aligning and confluencing well with the technicals. Look at this, oversold territory. We might go up soon, folks, soon, because look at this. Whenever the price has been down, it has come back up again, as you can see. Look at this, down over here, and then went up. Although I think it didn't go as we have planned over here, but over here it went up significantly. Okay, so let's see how it goes. Tokenizer over here, all the layer ones Archex has tokenized on began with MMFs, but after a year, things have evolved. Look at this, XDC network tokenized commercial real estate. Awesome. By the way, folks, XSP, we have covered XSP and people have been demanding it as well recently as to what's happening with it. Recently, it made a move as well. It is the DEX of decentralized exchange of XDC network, basically. And look at this, they are busy with a 2-week long uptrend. Someone knows something and is buying. Look at this, it was 0.000354, suddenly moving up. Seems interesting, folks. Last 30 days, 23.94, 90 days, 129.69% up. Okay. XDC has silently been gaining traction, and no one is even paying attention to it. This $1 billion market cap crypto is brewing. $10 billion soon. Look at this. Update on the XDC ecosystem lately, folks. Interesting. Orochi partner to verify RWAs, check. USDC CCTP version 2 support. XDC token on eToro and Kraken, selected for Swift Sybos 2025. SBI XDC invest in Casu Finance. 21 shares XDC ETP on 6 exchange, tokenized real estate with Archex, EU MFID asserts Terra supports XDC, discuss with Qatar Financial Center. So much happening with XDC network lately. So folks, what do you guys think about XDC network? Do you think that it indeed is moving towards the future? I would really like your opinions. Do hit the comment box below and let the community know. Anyways, guys, this was it for the video. If you liked it, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification icon if you're interested in utility coins and potential gems. And you can also support the channel by checking out Patreon by following the link in the description box below. Until next time, stay blessed and stay tuned. Thank you very much, everyone.